Hello, thank you for the fantastic question topic, KOGAN. Um, yeah, it's not asked very often from this perspective, but I'm sure a lot of people feel it or wonder these things, so I'll just get to it. The question is, what is enlightenment? Why does everyone claim it is this or that? Who do I trust? Is this a useless question? Is this a useless pursuit? That's awesome. Well, first of all, I'll right off the bat say that at all times, above all else, you should trust yourself. Absolutely. No one on your own life journey, on your own spiritual journey, it's your journey. You are your own guru. If you look into a lot of spirituality, you will see most gurus or people just sharing their awakenings or their wisdoms. You will see them say a lot that always trust yourself, that find your own way, that they're just suggestions or whatnot, or things to consider, or things to remember, to remind us of things, because that's what we do a lot, is remind each other. So you'll hear them say that a lot, but either way, you should always trust yourself. Always, of course. It's your journey. No one can tell you what your spiritual journey is. It's your journey. Just like your life. No one can tell you what your life is. No one can tell you who you are. It's all up to you. You are the master of your own experience. So trust you and nobody else. Consider this a buffet. Me too. If some of what I say or all of what I say resonates with you, great. If it doesn't, then throw it away. It's as simple as that. And so life is a buffet in general. We have all these experiences we can choose from, all this knowledge we can sift through, and we are completely in charge of our experience, and we get to choose what we look into, what we put our interests in, what we research, what we learn, what we experience. And the great thing is that's like this great buffet of endless moments and experience and magic and learning, and so we can pick and choose what we want in this buffet. And so we can taste something, try something. If it doesn't work for us, we can toss it away. So in life in general, it should always be that way. If things resonate for you, then by all means, embrace that. And if it doesn't, then walk away. And if something intrigues you and embraces you, and you embrace it for a while, but then it begins to not work for you anymore, it doesn't serve you anymore, then let it go. So there's no rules here. There's no rules in life. But this is a great question, because I'm sure many have thought it or asked it to somebody or to themselves. So yeah, trust yourself always. You'll find your own way and what works for you. Because only you know really, what you're going through and what you're looking for. Now, what is enlightenment at the beginning there? Well, you get a lot of people say it's different things, but if you break it down to its most basic and obvious meaning, enlightenment means to be enlightened. So what does enlightened mean? Basically, to be taught something, or to learn something, or to discover something, to awaken to something. So it's not a state. A lot of people think it's a state or it's a level. Nah. I know myself when, I occasionally get people say, "Oh, you're so enlightened." I don't really have a response to that. I mean, I'm just like everybody else. We all have our strengths and things that our callings and stuff like that. So what I do is just what I do, and it's just a natural movement that's evolved through my own spiritual self journey. But I'm certainly no guru. I'm certainly no expert. Sure, I've had many moments of enlightenment and awakenings, and I continue to grow. But when I say I'm enlightened, but that's just a label, right? It's a title. We don't need titles. We've had enough of titles, right? So why does everyone claim this or that? And then who do I trust? Well, I don't know about how much in spiritual circles people are claiming stuff. I guess they are. I guess I can see your point of view on that. So why are people claiming different things? Well, look at the world. Look at the belief systems. This is a free-for-all of expression, and that includes everything from art to philosophy, to religion, to spirituality, even science. Everything is an expression. We're expressive creatures here, and that's what we're doing. We're expressing in amazing ways, and the variety is endless. And so belief is also an expression, and beliefs change, and there's a lot of factors. So beliefs and concepts and ideas. So there's going to be, like in any subject, there's going to be a wide, like if you weren't talking about spirituality, if you were to pick another topic, if you really think about it, are there not going to be lots of different thoughts on that? And some of them similar and some of them totally different, and some of them seemingly contradicting each other. So pick any topic, you're going to get a lot of different views on it, right? So why would spirituality be any different? You're going to get people that believe different things, and because such a great shift is happening, because we live in such an amazing time that so many people are starting to wake up to the world around them and then wake up to themselves. And the world in general is calling for change and wants to experience something else, wants to experience love and joy and happiness, and become in tune with nature and ourselves. So mankind is crying out for a change. The butterfly is struggling to emerge from its cocoon. So you're going to get a lot of expressions. And so, again, dabble in them. See what resonates with you. Some won't. There's beliefs that range from everything in spirituality. You name it. Buddhism, different, I don't know, there's so many, and I don't grab onto anything too tightly. I just dabble and play and keep tabs of what's going on in the ideas, but I don't grab onto anything too strongly. That's just my way. But you name it. I mean, fifth dimension, and holographic universe, and law of attraction, and different religions and different spiritualities all around the world, and self-healing and crystals and sun gazing and people going through shifts, ascension, and people manifesting things, and people gaining abilities, psychic abilities, and all kinds of other healing abilities, and just the list goes on in spirituality. It's a wide expression. So sure, dive in. Don't dive in too heavy. Some people dive in, just dive right into all of it, and then they get pretty messed up sometimes. You see them in the spiritual groups on Facebook and that. And it's natural, but it's if you treat it like a hobby and you're just sitting at the computer, you're just delving into mounds of material, you'll go a little cuckoo, and certain things will resonate, certain things will stir, and it'll just be too much. For most of us, it gets too much. So it benefits you to just make your spiritual journey your own, journey of growth your own, and then dabble and play in and just see what's out there. And if something resonates with you more, then look into it more or whatever. And then if other things start to not make you feel good or it's getting too much, you can pull away from those. So you'll I would say try not to see it as a research project, looking for answers. Somebody's going to give you answers. Nobody's going to give you anything. This is all you. But what's incredible here is that we're reflections and we're mirrors for each other. And this can be magical, and it can also be very painful for us when we have conflict with each other. And a lot of times it's because we're projecting and reflecting off on each other. But that's what we're here for. It really is a gift, and it's also what we do is we remind each other. We see it all the time. You'll be feeling a certain way, and somebody will turn on a spiritual video or see a spiritual post, or they'll talk to somebody, and that somebody will say something out of the blue, and that's exactly what they needed to hear. So you will attract what you need anyways, and what resonates with you. So just enjoy yourself. Marinate in yourself. Lots of stillness. Try not to be up too much in the mind. A lot of times when people first get into spirituality, because there's so much information, so much varied information, what they're doing, the bulk of it, of course, some of it's from the heart and coming from a deep place, of course, or you wouldn't even be looking into it. But a lot of times we get, with so much information, we get up into the head, and it more becomes like a research project, and it more becomes trying to figure out what spirituality is or figure out what happiness is. That you can't figure out anything in here. This is a tool that wasn't meant for that, because what you're really trying to do, in essence, if you're looking into spirituality, you're looking for something. Now most of us, it's just the easiest answer is happiness, is self-fulfillment. And true, you're looking for that. But even beyond that, think of it, spirituality. What's that word based on? Spirit, the search for spirit. Well, what spirit? Your spirit. You're looking for you. We're all looking for ourselves. Who am I? What am I? What is this? Those are the big questions, but you're really looking for yourself. Discovering yourself. So if you can get that straight, that's what you're doing, or just get straight whatever it is you're looking for. Maybe it's just happiness or joy, fulfillment. So, just mull over in your mind what you're looking for, and then don't make it a big deal, and then push it aside, but just, okay, that's why I'm interested in these kind of things, because of this. Just get that answer straightened away first. Then you always know what's motivating you, and then from there, just do things that serve that. If it's happiness, then do things that make you really happy. If it's, you should do that anyways, no matter what your answer was. You should always do things to make yourself happy. But if it's spirituality, if it's a search for yourself, or the answer of what is this, where am I, what am I, same thing. Be good to yourself. Do things that make you feel joyous, because it's in our joyous state that we get closest to source, to where we came from. That's why children, look at them, how much joy and imagination, because they haven't been as conditioned and traumatized to the extent we have, so they're still fresh. And the younger you go back with kids, the more you see that purity. We all see that purity. So why is it so pure? Because they're closest from source. The source, they just came into all this before they've been, affected by us, or infected, whichever way you want to look at it. But so when we do things, if you think about it, when you see people really laughing or playing, people united in play or anything, those kind of things, there's not much going on in the mind anymore, as opposed to in normal day lives where there's lots of chatter, right? The mind's always labeling and deciding and drawing on the past, living in the past, or worrying about the future, which are all illusions, because the only real thing is right now. Once something's gone, it's gone. Now it's just a recreation memory in your mind, and future hasn't existed yet. So we have the now. But when we quiet the mind, and you, like I said, you see it when you're doing things like laughing, or even people do things that clear the mind, do the dishes, or go for a jog, or do physical exercise, or create anything that clears the mind, walk in nature. When your mind becomes less clouded and more clear, you generally become more peaceful, obviously. And it's because you're returning closer to yourself out of the mind. And so that's why, you can have a good moment, you could be sitting, think of sitting at a lake, listening to the sounds of the water, and you're watching the sun dance on the water, and your toes are in the water, and nobody's around, it's quiet. And just think if you're having a quiet moment where you're just not a lot of chatter going on in your mind. Think of how peaceful that is. So why is that? Because you're closest to yourself. You're connected, first of all, because we're connected to everything. Spirituality points to that. Science points to that. Everything points to that. Everything is connected. Right down when they look as close as they can down to atoms and molecules and stuff. It's amazing. Science and spirituality is also coming closer together. And that's why I see a lot of scientists now becoming quite spiritual, because they, from what they're discovering, it's amazing. It's amazing. Basically, yeah, it's your journey, and what you're really discovering, most likely, or what you want to discover, is yourself. But whatever it is you're really looking for in spirituality, it's yours to play with, and there's lots of information and lots of sharing, and what we really are is reminding each other of things, because we're really all connected, and we really do go through similar things. So when you see people like myself or gurus or whatever, keep in mind what we're really just doing is sharing. We're just sharing, because nobody can tell you anything. Nobody. It's all up to you. Everything is up to you. Even beliefs and concepts and science and anything you pick a subject. It's up to you to decide. You're the master of your own experience. What you say goes. Really does. If it's just bottom line. And let's see if there's any other parts to that question. Is this a useless question? Absolutely not, my friend. It was a fantastic question, because it can be really confusing when you first get into spirituality, and any subject really, but especially spirituality, when you get into it, and get really confusing. And what I've found over the years now is the deeper you go, at least for myself, the less contradictions I see. When I was younger, I'm not really religious, but I was. When I was younger, I used to see contradictions in everything. Everything just seemed totally contradiction. All the different religions, spirituality, everything just seemed to conflict in science. But now that we learn more, now that we're growing more, shifting more in all these areas, we can see there's more commonality. But even when you look back right to the beginning of even the most ancient teachings and stuff and sciences, if you look at all of it, pulled back, and you'll naturally start to do that as you go deeper into your own experience, your own journey of self-discovery. I found that now, and it's been like this for for many years now, and it just gets deeper and deeper, this perception. And that is when I look at all these things and I dabble in all these different, I keep an open mind, and I look into all these different areas of spirituality and belief and ideas and concepts and even religion and all of it. When you look at it all, now I see there's way more in common than there is contradictions. But like as is life, we tend to concentrate on the negative, ignore all the amazing positive and gifts that are around us. So we do that constantly. We take stuff for granted. So the same thing with that. We tend to always immediately look at where the differences are. What we're not seeing is what's the similarities. So now when I look at it, the similarities between science and religion and spirituality and everything in between, all the shades in between. I see more in common than I do see contradiction. I see the commonality in what it's all pointing to. And for me, what it's pointing to is you. It's pointing to us. To me, everything is pointing to us. Nature, everything. The way all this funhouse works here, where we reflect at each other and project, and the way we manifest things and everything that's going on here, it's incredible. But for me, every which way you look at it, and that's just me, you find your own answers, but everything's pointing to the biggest commonality. It's everything keeps pointing right back to us. So perfect. So if that's what you're looking for, to discover yourself, or just to be really happy, and you'll find that by discovering yourself. But yeah, it's your journey. So excellent question, but don't take it too seriously. Try not to go in with too much of the mind. You'll see a lot of people in the first few years they get into spirituality. You especially see it online, especially in the groups where there's masses of people talking about these things in these spiritual groups. A big change has happened. You still see a little bit come and go because, of course, new people, there's lots of new people just discovering or realizing they're on a spiritual journey and looking into it. So they come and go, but if you really been in the community for years, you see that many years ago, there was much more arguing going on in the spiritual groups, where it was more up in the mind about, no, this is what it is, and that's, well, if it's spiritual, if you're really going deep within yourself, eventually you're going to get to the stage where you're not going to want to tell people what to do, because the whole point is you're finding your own freedom. That's when you're self-fulfilled and you're loving yourself and you're discovering yourself and you're going on that journey. And really it's a journey of freeing yourself from the chains of the mind, the chains of the conditioning, of the social structures, what other people think. When you're freeing yourself of this to create your own journey in your own life, you're experiencing an amazing freedom the more you go deeper into yourself. And so the more you do that, the less you're willing to tell other people what to do, because it just doesn't, why would you? It's up to them. It just as you discovered, it's up to them. So it becomes more of sharing, and you become more open-minded and less judgmental. But it takes time. So when you first get into it, you'll be more judgmental, and you're more think of it like a hobby or project, and it'll be up in the mind. And so many years ago, you used to see that was a lot of that stuff was going on. And then it's over years, as everybody kept going deeper and deeper, you've seen that taper right off, and you don't see it very much anymore. You see it a little bit. And of course, you'll still see it a little bit because, you know, as humans, we come and go. Sometimes we get amnesia of what we've learned and what we've experienced, the magic, and then we get up in the mind and we forget again. But for the most part, I think it's probably just people that are new people to spirituality that are going through those stages. So you see a little of them, but it's really tapered off, and you hardly see it anymore, just occasionally. And it's great. That shows our growth. But the reason I bring it up is I'm saying, as you're looking into spirituality, try to keep it in here. Try to clear your mind and do things that fulfill you, and create your own journey yourself, and just use this as reminders, as tools, because that's all we're doing is sharing. And so, you know, when I look into things, sometimes someone will write something or post something or maybe, you know, say something, and it will really resonate with me, and that'll be kind of a part of you know, how I see things for a while. Again, we're always changing and shifting, and if you think of your lifetime, your beliefs have changed a million times over, and your personality traits and everything, and that's part of all of this. Everything has changed. So, you know, and then if things don't resonate with me, then I'll walk away. And sometimes things won't resonate, and then years later it will. So it's just because something's not resonating with me, oh, well, then push it away for now, but you never know. You might find in a couple of years you'll see it totally differently and go, let's take another look. So life is your buffet. This is your experience. And you are the master of your experience, of your own experience. Think about it. Even if you're new to law of attraction, you're not sure yet if you believe that we manifest things, but really once you really look into it and you see it in your life, you'll know it's true. We're totally, and even science points to this now, that we're manifesting, we're sending out waves of energy, and we are creating. So once you get into all that stuff, you'll realize in that sense you're the master of your own experience. But even beyond that, even if you don't believe in any of that, let's just be practical. Whether it's discovering spirituality, whether it's learning how to ride a motorcycle, whether it's going back to school to get your doctorate in something, whether it's whatever interests you in life, whatever you're going through, day-to-day stuff, work, relationships, getting over things from the past, just working through stuff, issues, whatever it is. You are the master of your own experience, because what we see, once you change your perception of something, because this is all perception. Everything we go through is just a perception, which is why people see things so differently. And when we get in suffering, when we get in fear, when we get up in the mind, this is when we see it can become quite extreme and twisted in our perceptions. And this is why you might have thought something or said something and then later down the road didn't mean it or didn't see it that way anymore, because your perception changed. Think about it, how you think about the world now. It probably isn't anything close to how you perceived things when, say, you were 9, right? You perceived things totally different. So your experience was different, right? When you're a kid, it rains, you run out in the rain and you love it, and your experience, your perception is this is a gift, and you run out in it and you enjoy it. And you carry that memory, and it's magic. Some of us keep that. I still dance in the rain. But then in general, though, what we see, adults get older and the rain comes, what do? They start covering up and running for the doorways, and they start getting inside and they start complaining about the rain. Same experience, totally different perception now. So do you see what I mean? So in all circumstances, what we give our attention to, it's like if somebody insults you, you can, if you were to pick somebody that's really closest to your heart right now, think of them. Think of somebody really close to you, somebody that really is just, there's nobody I'm more emotionally close to. It could be a partner, it could be mother, father, think of them. So think of that person. Now think of somebody who you've known for years, but really, to be quite frank, you don't really give a crap about too much. I mean, maybe you love them as a human being or whatever, but you really, what they say and what they do, just, it doesn't really mean, not necessarily someone you dislike, just think of somebody that really doesn't, maybe it's a co-worker, that's probably pretty easy. Somebody you've worked for years, but you've never gotten very close to, and you just, they're fine, but they really mean nothing to you emotionally. So think of somebody who means something to you really close to your heart. Think of that person, and now think of somebody who really doesn't, you don't feel any particular way about whatsoever. Now if those two people were to insult you and say the exact same insult, one would really hurt, wouldn't it? One would probably feel like a knife going on, you know what I mean? You're stupid, or you're whatever. Just, it hits you, and it'll be hard to, you might get upset, or it might take a while to get over that. And the other person, if they said that exact same, you'd probably just be like, whatever, dude, right? It wouldn't matter to you, right? Or it wouldn't matter for long. You'd let it go. So why is that? It's because where we've put our attention. It's because of our perception. It's because we've made what that other person says and thinks of us more important. So again, everything it shows, you are the master of your own experience in all things. You are the master. Even in life, when challenges come, if we fold up and play the mentality victim, sure, then life will run over us and we see it. And then people just complaining, and it's one thing after another, and that becomes their life. That becomes their experience. We see other people that go through hard things, some unbearable things, and they embrace it as challenges, and they don't see them as negative. Yes, they're really tough, but they have a love for life and a love for themselves, and they have appreciation for everything in life, so when challenge comes, they jump on it. And so we see people have transform themselves and transform their lives from things that we would consider horrific. Some of these success stories that we've seen, that what people have gone through, I mean, I'm sure you can think of millions. Just top of my head, I'll think of a simple one. What about that guy, I think it was in the States, that was hiking alone, and he fell down in between these crevices on the mountain, and he was caught, his arm was caught between a boulder and the cliff, down in a crevice. Nobody could find him, nobody could hear him. He was there for days. He was going to die there. Now this is an extreme, of course. I don't know if I could do it. I've had a happy life. I don't know if I'm so in desire or wanting of more time here that I would be able to do that. But what he did was, with a pocket knife, he cut his own arm off. Think about that. And if he hadn't, he would have died. He tried everything. He was caught down there. It was desert climate. Days were going by. Nobody was ever going to find him in there. He was a dead man. He was a dead man. And the only way is the way he took. And all he had was a pocket knife. So think about it. He had to slowly, so he's already dehydrated and he's exhausted, and now he's going to be in fear and in the mind, and just the heat of the sun coming and getting all dry, and things crawling around, and he's there for days and probably start hallucinating, who knows, and then just cutting through all of the veins in the skin with a dull pocket knife, just to get through that and get through the pain and all that and the ordeal and the blood loss, and it took a long time. I don't remember how long with it. I think it took him many hours, if not days, just to do that. And then once you get through all that skin, I'm not to be graphic, I'm just trying to let you see of just what a big thing this is. Then even once through that, it was amazing. A lot of us wouldn't even be able to get through that stage. Then he got to the bone and started cutting that bone with then he broke it. He broke his bone, and then, oh man. So anyways, I'll stop getting graphic, but the whole point is that he was the master of his own experience, not only during that, but since. So he's gone around and he speaks now, and for him it was a spiritual experience. For him it was one of the greatest things that ever happened to him. He's missing an arm and he had to cut it off, but to him it's one of the most, he's if you're to listen to him, he's really grateful. It's one of the best things, one of the most powerful, traumatic, yes, and painful things, but one of the most amazing things that he has ever gone through. Now think of somebody else. They work in a factory, and heaven forbid, they get their arm caught in a machine. Now they lost their arm. We might see the opposite. We might see similar as what I just described with the guy who cut off his own arm, but just to pick something different. But we might see someone like that, very possibly, then just be completely traumatized and give up because he lost his arm, and now he lost his job, and now he's unemployed, and he's got one arm. We could totally see, and it's understandable. He could feed those thoughts, feed all that. He could, just make that his experience and keep delving in, start getting mad at people in his life, and don't give me pity, and he could just, you know what I mean? He could just see the whole world as crap after that, and you would understand why you could. But see, that guy just got his arm caught in the machine. The other guy actually cut it off, and yet the other guy, who really would have been, if you think about it, much more painful and experience and drawn out, and much more trauma because he had days and he had to do it himself. Yet that guy sees it as such an amazing, life-changing gift. So how is that? It's perception. That's all it boils down to, is what I was saying. Perception in the moment, but even perception from that point on. The other guy sees, the guy who cut off his own arm, he's creating his own perception. He's creating his own reality. what you believe is true. So whatever you decide to believe in, that's going to be your truth. Whatever you feel the most often, that's going to be your reality. So when we change our perception, we can change our experience. Again, another simple example, you got two people at a lake and it's really cold. And one person, yeah, they might hesitate and they're kind of scared, but they finally run and jump in and woo, and they jump in and it's freezing, but they're having a ball laughing and they're going, oh my God, it's cold. And the other person might stand on the dock and keep dipping their toes in and torturing themselves and shivering. And because they're stalling so much, the wind's hitting them and they're getting colder. And now they're getting annoyed and really afraid. And it's bringing up all kinds of fear. And they're getting mad at the person in the water for telling them to jump in. And now they're making it a hell. And now it's drawn out. 20 minutes go by, 40 minutes go by. And they're just making this just a complete crappy experience for themselves. What's the difference? Same experience. Why are they experiencing different? Perception. The other one was open to the possibilities and just went for it and didn't get up in the fear of the mind and just overcome that fear they felt, which is why we do that run and jump in, because that's the only way to do it, because you're afraid, so you do it. So they made a choice, and in doing that choice, creating their own perception, and then they embraced it all the way. When they were in there, they embraced it. Even though they're freezing their butt off, they're laughing and enjoying the fun of it. So they had a different experience, and the other one on the dock had a totally different experience because of their perception. So, sorry this was a bit long, but it's kind of a big question you asked there, and I hope I helped you facilitate you and encourage you to keep looking into spirituality, into your own spirituality, and look into the rest of this, videos on YouTube and Facebook groups and online, all kinds of stuff. But I encourage you to look into that, but you decide what works for you, and don't overdo it. Make sure you're having fun. Don't think of it as the big answer that needs to be solved. There's no quick answer. There's no one set answer. It's a journey. Life is a journey. You make it heaven or hell. It's up to you. You're the master of your own experience. So enjoy your journey. Love and light.